Hey, what's going on, guys? Jeff with Ask a Retired First Sergeant. Hey, today's a pretty good question. It's kind of a two-part question, but it's all along the same lines. And that is, how did we get our equipment and ourselves to a deployment if we were going to deploy? Like, let's say we were stateside, for example, Fort Lewis, Washington, and we were going to Iraq. How did we get our equipment and our persons from one spot to another? So I'll go ahead and get into that, and I'll kind of tackle them both at the same time. The first thing, let's start with the equipment. All of your equipment, at least ours did, it went on a ship. So it went over there by ship. Now, the issue is all of our equipment stateside is kept in what's called the motor pool. All the trucks are lined up nice and neat. We got a thing about that in the Army called dress right dress. So everything is nice and neat and together. So what we have to do is any trucks that you're going to take with you or containers, anything like that nature, what you're going to do is you're going to line that up in the motor pool. They're going to have different serials, right? So a line of trucks, if you're going to have a convoy, each line of trucks is called a serial, all right? And then what we're going to do is we are going to drive those trucks. If we're close to a port, we are going to drive them directly to the port where they will get loaded on the ship. If you are not close to a port, however, usually each base has what's called the railhead, and the railhead is where you would load the trucks up on a train, and then the train would take them to the port for you. So you basically are driving the trucks to the railhead, and you're ground guiding. That's what it's called when you're standing outside the truck telling them where to go, and you will load up the train cars, and then the train obviously will take it to the port. They'll load it up, and then you will pick it up in Kuwait. I'll get into that a little bit later. But as far as us, basically what happens is it's a civilian flight, but it's a government contracted flight. So the government rents the entire plane. So for us, like for example, when I was at Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah, Georgia, the plane landed right there and we would just get on the airplane. Now, the cool thing about the government contracted planes is since you've got all your equipment, we weren't sitting like right next to each other. You know, we had space in between. Sometimes you'll have that. Sometimes you won't if the plane's full or not. The crazy thing is, though, we're there with all of our gear. We've got the weapons on the plane. We took the weapons and we put it under our seat. And then we will fly. Usually we stop somewhere like Ireland or something like that. And we will stop deplane for when they would refuel. And I know the crazy thing was when we stopped in Ireland on one of the deployments, we got off, but like we weren't allowed to, they had us kind of sequestered off. Like we couldn't go into the main part of the airport. They had a little spot for us sectioned off to stay in because, you know, you see a bunch of Army guys with your weapons. It's kind of crazy. So, you know, your equipment will probably leave maybe a month, maybe 45 days before you. Now, the trick is when you get to Kuwait, it is terrible. When you go to pick up the equipment, they basically take it off the ships and they line it up in one big yard. Everybody's equipment is in one yard. And let me tell you something. The amount of stealing and pilfering, I know people who have went to get trucks and they were missing engines. They were missing tires. They were missing wheels, seats. Anything people can steal off these trucks, they will take. You know, like if your truck's broke down and you're out there in this big yard that's miles, there's just trucks for miles, you're going to do what you got to do what you got to do. I ain't saying it's right. I ain't saying it's wrong. I understand. But anyway, you will go get your trucks, give them a once over, and then you will take them back. You'll have an area kind of sequestered off in Kuwait, whichever camp you're on. And then if you're going to drive them up, you know, into Iraq or Afghanistan, which is what we did, we drove them. And that is how the process works. So the simple answer to the question is our trucks, they take a ship. And when we go, we fly on a commercial airline. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that, I do one of these about every couple of days. If you want to know anything about at least the Army, Ask a Retired First Sergeant. I will do my best to take care of it for you. So hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I will catch you guys next time.